With the highly anticipated second season of The Last of Us approaching, fans are eager to see how the show adapts The Last of Us Part 2. However, recent developments have raised questions about the show's future and whether it might conclude as early as the third season. Although the show has already exceeded expectations with its first season, based on the critically acclaimed game series, there's a limited amount of material left for the series to adapt. The show's second season will focus on The Last of Us Part 2, which could span multiple seasons, potentially stretching into a fourth season. However, with HBO working quickly to produce Season 3 and reduce the wait time between the seasons, it seems the series could wrap up before Part 3 of the game is even released. In December 2024, Naughty Dog, the creators of The Last of Us games, made a surprising announcement during the Game Awards. It was not the anticipated The Last of Us Part 3, but a new sci-fi game titled Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. This signals that the long-awaited Part 3 could be a while off, and it may affect the show's timeline. The show could end after Season 3. Considering that the show is based on the first two games, it seems plausible that Season 3 will mark the end of the series, adapting the story of Part 2 in its entirety. While some fans are hoping for Part 3 to follow, it's likely the show will conclude with Season 3, especially if the third game isn't developed by the time filming wraps. Continuing without a game. The de facto Part 3. Even without a Part 3 game, The Last of Us can continue as a TV series. Neil Druckmann, the co-creator of the franchise, is heavily involved in the show, making it possible for the series to continue beyond the game's narrative. By crafting new material based on the established world and characters, the show could transition into its own Part 3. However, this might raise concerns among fans who prefer the game-first story, particularly given the backlash that occurred when Game of Thrones moved beyond George R.R. Martin's books. If Druckmann remains the primary storyteller, though, there is hope that the continuation would stay true to the essence of The Last of Us. Potential spin-offs. Another avenue for the future of the series could be spin-offs. The world of The Last of Us is rich with stories waiting to be told. Fans have already expressed interest in seeing more of Bill and Frank's story, and other potential spin-offs could explore characters like Henry and Sam, or dive deeper into the lives of other survivors. The success of spin-offs from franchises like The Walking Dead shows that expanding a universe beyond its main narrative can keep the fanbase engaged. A hiatus until Part 3. Alternatively, the series could go on a hiatus until Part 3 is ready, following a similar path to legacy sequels seen in other TV series. This would allow Druckmann to adapt the game's content with a deeper understanding of its narrative and give fans the chance to experience Part 3 before the show continues. However, the timeline for Part 3 remains uncertain, with some fans still waiting for the winds of winter from Game of Thrones. The risk here is that interest in the series could wane if the hiatus stretches too long. Conclusion. The future of The Last of Us is still very much up in the air, with multiple possible directions the series could take. As Season 2 of the show prepares to adapt Part 2, it's clear that HBO and Druckmann have a few options for continuing the story, from concluding with Season 3, creating new material for a Part 3 TV-first story, to exploring spin-offs. Regardless of the outcome, The Last of Us remains a standout series that will leave a lasting impact, whether it concludes with Part 2's adaptation or expands further into its universe.